You're standing at customs with $9,500 in your carry-on. You check the rules carefully before your trip. The limit is $10,000, so you think you're completely safe, right? Wrong. You might be walking into a trap. What if I told you that staying just under that magic number could actually get you into serious legal trouble? Today, we're uncovering a legal trap that catches thousands of innocent travelers every single year around the world. Understanding this could be the only thing standing between you and losing your hard-earned money to the authorities. Let's start with the basics. If you're crossing into the United States with $10,000 or more in cash, federal law requires you to declare it. This comes from the Bank Secrecy Act, and you report it using a simple form called FinCEN Form 105. Here's what most people get wrong. Carrying over $10,000 is completely legal. The only illegal part is failing to report it. This isn't a tax form, it's simply a tracking mechanism to help authorities monitor large cash movements and detect potential money laundering or illegal activity. Because this rule is so well known, a dangerous myth has emerged among travelers. Many believe that staying below $10,000 means they're completely safe. Unfortunately, this assumption can lead to devastating consequences. Let me share a real example that will shock you. A woman was traveling internationally to pay for medical surgery. She carefully counted out exactly $10,000 and placed it in an envelope. Since she believed she was right at the threshold, she didn't file a declaration. She thought she was following the rules perfectly. But when Customs and Border Protection questioned her, they discovered she had an additional $38 in her pocket for airport snacks. Her total came to $10,038. Because she failed to declare this amount, CBP seized all of her money immediately. After months of legal battles and significant stress, she eventually recovered most of it, but that small oversight nearly cost her everything she had. This shows just how strict the enforcement can be, but here's where things get even more complicated and dangerous for travelers. The real danger isn't just for people who make honest mistakes, it's for those who try to be too clever with the rules. So how can carrying less than $10,000 actually cause problems? The answer involves a federal offense called structuring. Under U.S. law, specifically Title 31 U.S.C. Section 5324, it's a crime to structure financial transactions to avoid reporting requirements. This law was originally designed to catch people who break up large cash deposits at banks into smaller amounts to stay under thresholds. Border officials apply similar logic when travelers cross international borders. They look for patterns that suggest you're intentionally evading the reporting requirement. Here's the most common scenario. A married couple is traveling together with $18,000 in cash for their trip abroad. Knowing about the $10,000 rule, they think they're being smart by splitting it up between them to avoid paperwork. He carries $9,000, she carries $9,000. Individually, each person is under the limit, so they feel safe. But if a CBP officer questions them and they admit they divided the money specifically to avoid filing the declaration form, they've confessed. They've essentially confessed to intentionally evading the reporting requirement for the full $18,000 they're traveling with together. In the government's view, this isn't two separate individuals with $9,000 each. It's one household attempting to move $18,000 without disclosure. That intent to avoid the reporting process can make their actions illegal, and their money becomes subject to immediate seizure. Another common example involves multiple trips. Imagine someone needs to transport $27,000 from Canada to the United States. Instead of making one trip and filing the required form, they decide to make 3 separate trips, carrying $9,000 each time. If authorities can establish that the purpose of these multiple trips was to evade reporting the full amount, they can classify this as structuring. These aren't just theoretical scenarios. Many high-profile cases have involved the IRS rather than customs, showing how seriously government takes these issues. Take the case of a Maryland dairy farmer who made regular cash deposits just under $10,000, following his insurance company's advice. The IRS accused him of structuring and seized his entire bank account through civil forfeiture, even though his money was completely legal. Similarly, a convenience store owner had his life savings seized after making cash withdrawals under $10,000 for safety reasons, not illegal activity. In both cases, public pressure eventually led to the money being returned, and subsequent policy changes placed some restrictions on such seizures. However, the underlying principle remains. Authorities are extremely suspicious of anyone who appears to be deliberately avoiding reporting requirements at any border. This brings us to the mechanism the government uses to take money in these situations: civil asset forfeiture. Understanding how this works is crucial. In a typical criminal case, a person is charged with a crime and tried in court. But civil forfeiture works completely differently. The legal action is filed directly against the property itself, in this case, your cash. Legally speaking, it's your money on trial, not you. Because property doesn't have the same constitutional protections as people, the process works very differently from criminal proceedings you might expect. In criminal court, you're presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. That's a fundamental right we all have as citizens. In civil forfeiture cases, while the government technically has the burden to prove the property should be forfeited, the practical burden shifts to you. You must prove where every dollar came from and that it's legitimate. This reversal makes it incredibly difficult to recover your own money. What makes this system particularly concerning is the financial incentive structure built into the law enforcement system across America. At both federal and state levels, law enforcement agencies often get to keep a portion of the assets they seize from travelers and citizens. This practice is what critics have termed policing for profit. While some states have implemented reforms, these incentives frequently remain in place today. The scale of these seizures is significant. According to research by the Institute for Justice, the numbers are truly staggering and alarming. Between 2005 and 2012, the IRS alone seized over $242 million across 2,500 cases. These were just for alleged structuring violations. In approximately one-third of those cases, there were no allegations of any other criminal activity whatsoever. This isn't a system exclusively targeting major criminals or drug dealers. It's a system that has affected thousands of small business owners and families. Ordinary people like you and me have lost their life savings, their business funds, and their financial security through this legal mechanism. Let's walk through what actually happens if you find yourself in this situation. Understanding the process could save you from disaster. It typically starts with a simple question from a customs officer. How much cash are you carrying? You answer honestly, $9,500. The officer might ask follow-up questions. Why do you have that amount? What's it for? Are you traveling alone or with someone else? Maybe you seem nervous during questioning. Perhaps you're traveling with a companion who's also carrying $9,500 in their bag. These details raise red flags immediately, and you're directed to a secondary inspection area for more thorough questioning and investigation. The questioning becomes more detailed and intense. Where did the money come from? What's its intended purpose? They search your belongings thoroughly. If officers believe you intentionally structured your transactions to avoid reporting requirements, they'll inform you that they're seizing the money right there. Just like that, your cash is gone from your possession. You'll receive a document called a custody receipt for seized property and evidence. This receipt becomes critically important. It's your only official proof that the government has taken your money at the border crossing. From this point, a complex and time-sensitive process begins. The government will likely use administrative forfeiture, an expedited process within the agency. You'll receive a formal seizure notice by mail. If you don't respond correctly within a very strict deadline, typically just 30 to 35 days, your money is automatically forfeited to the government forever. You won't even get a hearing or a chance to explain your situation. To challenge the seizure, you must file a formal claim. This forces the government to take the case to federal court for review. In federal court, you can present your arguments before a judge, but this is where the real difficulty and financial burden begins. Legal fees can easily reach tens of thousands of dollars. Many people find that hiring an attorney costs more than the amount seized. Additionally, the process is extremely slow, often taking a year or longer to resolve. Throughout this entire time, your money remains in custody.
The system is designed in a way that makes it financially impractical for many people to fight back against the government seizure. This often forces them either to give up entirely or to settle for recovering just a fraction of what was originally taken from them.
While this all sounds intimidating, there are clear steps you can take to protect yourself if you need to travel with significant cash. First, always be honest and declare when required. This is absolutely crucial. The biggest mistake you can make is trying to be clever. If you're carrying $10,000 or more, simply complete FinCEN Form 105. It's a straightforward one-page document that's easy. Filing it doesn't mean you'll be taxed, and it doesn't mean your money will be seized. It simply demonstrates transparency and eliminates suspicion. Second, document everything thoroughly. The government's primary tool is suspicion. Your best defense is proof of where your money came from. Before you travel, gather documentation showing your money's legitimate source and purpose. This includes bank withdrawal receipts, property sale documents, business invoices, or contracts. Have these documents either printed or readily accessible on your phone. Being prepared with evidence makes all the difference at customs. If you can immediately show an officer that you withdrew $12,000 from your bank 2 days ago to purchase a vehicle, it becomes much more difficult for them to classify the money as suspicious or connected to any illegal activity whatsoever. Third, never structure your cash. This is the central lesson. Do not split large sums of money to stay under the $10,000 threshold. Don't give half your money to a travel companion to hold. Don't plan multiple trips, each carrying just under the limit for reporting. These are exactly the behaviors that signal intent to evade reporting requirements. This is what gets people into serious legal trouble. It is far, far safer to carry $15,000 and properly declare it than to carry $9,900 while appearing to hide something. Fourth, stay calm and consistent. If you're stopped and questioned by authorities, remain calm. Answer questions truthfully without appearing nervous or defensive. If you're carrying a large amount that you've properly declared along with supporting documentation, calmly explain the source and purpose of the money. Appearing nervous or changing your story will only increase an officer's suspicion. Consistency and calmness are your best allies in these situations. Fifth, act immediately if money is seized. If the worst happens and your money is seized, time is critical. Every minute counts. Politely request the names and badge numbers of the officers involved. Make absolutely certain you receive the official seizure receipt before leaving the location. Photograph every page of the receipt before leaving the location. This documentation will be essential for your legal case later. Your very first action should be contacting an attorney who specializes in civil asset forfeiture cases. Don't delay even 1 day after seizure. The deadlines to challenge a seizure are extremely short and unforgiving. Missing a deadline means you automatically forfeit your money with no recourse. The $10,000 reporting requirement isn't the finish line, it's just the beginning of what you need to understand about traveling with cash. The real concern isn't simply the amount of money you're carrying, it's whether authorities believe you're trying to hide something from them. The government has created a system where attempting to stay under the radar can itself be viewed as illegal activity and suspicious behavior. This gives them the power to seize property through civil asset forfeiture, even when your money is completely legal and legitimately earned. Remember the stories of everyday people, business owners, farmers, travelers paying for medical procedures. Their only mistake was handling their own legal money suspiciously. The belief that you're automatically safe as long as you're carrying under $10,000 is a dangerous misconception that ruins lives. The reality is that your intent and your transparency matter far more than the specific dollar amount you happen to be carrying. Your best defense is always to be transparent, be prepared with documentation, and never attempt to outsmart a system designed to catch you. If you found this information valuable, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more content on legal issues. Have you ever traveled internationally with significant cash? Share your experiences in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories and questions. And remember, when it comes to traveling with money, honesty isn't just the best policy, it's your only real protection.